What about you, Nico?
I've been stressing out this week, of course, as always, always a ton of work, because I've been trying to plan this trip to Brazil to take down this. There is somebody calling me from Sao Paulo right now, and they're calling my direct line, and I'm tempted to nobody calls straight from Sao Paulo.
Well, you want to let's do it. Just answer. Let's see what's good.
Hello? Hello? This is her.
This is why we have a live show, guys. The real deal.
To use WhatsApp? I'm sorry? WhatsApp for what?
WhatsApp?
Yes. Yeah, Favela Jiu-Jitsu. Could you call back later? I'm actually recording something now. I was worried that this was somebody from the social project that had an emergency. And if this does not sound like an emergency or anything that's going to be good for the viewers of my podcast. So, hit me back later. Bye. I don't know what that was. I don't think it had to do with my API. I really need an API. That was really weird. That was to my direct line. I don't know how you call from Brazil to a direct line.
That's why I was like, you need to answer this right now, because it might be an issue.
Because that's the thing, right?
Speak of the devil. Go ahead.
I'm trying to take all these boxes in Tim's house down to Brazil, which is technically the largest donation the nonprofit has ever received. And I guess there's I know there's a huge issue in the communication and the understanding of what the organization is. So I recently hired our English teacher. I hired her to be the secretary to the academy, but what I really needed was an administrative assistant for the executive director of the nonprofit that is in the U.S. and is held to the U.S. tax codes, the laws, and all that other stuff, of which nobody in Brazil understands. So the fact that we have a Patreon and they're getting money and all of that money is in the U.S. frozen because we're not... Ever since COVID, we're not paying for competitions. The kids aren't competing. There's nobody going to IBJJF. There's nobody traveling. So a lot of the things that we used to pay for, we don't pay for them anymore. And IBJJF was also one of the biggest things that we paid for that was easy to pay for because it's a company recognized by the IRS. So when COVID hit, it kind of fucked me in the sense of, maintaining that equilibrium of that. So it's very hard to send money to Brazil if I can't get the receipts back for the proper thing. So we have all these systems, and one thing that they have to do if I'm sending them money via Western Union, they have to give me a proposal on exactly how they're going to spend that money, because we're not spending it on competitions. And then afterwards we were spending it on emergency salary. So every month when I distribute a salary, because it would change every month, there was a meeting, and the team and this is another problem. There's an administrator of the social project in Rio, and he also is the only one that has access to the for-profit academies financials that kind of go to Ted Today and his family. Nobody knows what happens to them, but he's the only one that should know, right? And now I have the right to kind of demand that money or those numbers from him. But he is technically the administrator of the nonprofit in Brazil, and he's the one that authorizes every competitor to compete and receive the sponsorship money, and he's the one that authorizes every time that I send money to buy gis. I'm not actually currently paying for the snack program from the U.S., but he's the one that authorizes every time the money gets sent, and he says where it goes. Well, all of the people that that are asking for things, so if we have the kids program, there's one dude that handles all of that, and he's the only person that has any idea how to actually handle anything, in the sense of he's not taking notes in a notebook with a pencil. He's the only person that I've ever met that's done this. So that's the thing. And then there's another person that kind of handles like the competition list for me, and then like the administrator of the project, he just makes sure that people are teaching classes. And I realized that like he's not good at business, he's good at just teaching jiu-jitsu, but that doesn't change the fact that he is the administrator of the nonprofit, and he is the only one that's authorized to receive the money from the nonprofit, and he is the only one that is authorized to open up the business, and it has to be in his name. It can't be in Terede's name. It has to be in his name. He's the only one. So what happened was, Rose Gracie came into the social project. She was talking to this one person that handles the snack program, who is a student's parent and the English teacher. And a lot of statements were made. They were doing what they were supposed to be doing. They were telling her about the project, but they only know about their portion of the project. So basically, we have an English teacher and a parent who's been there for like a year. And this parent made a statement that I have all of the money, that he doesn't know where it gets sent to, and he doesn't know who gets it and what it's spent on. And that's what he said to Rose Gracie. He said that to a Gracie.
Can you explain to people back at home who Rose Gracie is exactly?
I mean, I don't even exactly know who Rose Gracie is. I just know she is associated with the Gracie family. I know she does like a lot of work. She does a lot of work with nonprofits. She does work with a lot of organizations. I know I do social work in Brazil like this because I knew Kira has always done. She has always had a nonprofit. Like if now, if you Google a jiu-jitsu based social project, you're gonna find us. You're gonna find Tererê Kids Project. Before I moved to Brazil, it was Kira and it was Corey, and that's kind of like I was really inspired. But Kira, that was also all the way out in Recreio, which is not the South Zone. So if you go to Rio South Zone, you're not getting out to Recreio like easily. So I had never actually met them. And so here's the thing, like, and that's the thing, like, it's very hard because Rose is Brazilian and she is in Brazil, and like I hope she understands some of these things, that she has made it to speak to the executive director of an organization and the actual owner of the project. When I asked him, I was like, yo, how would you let him say something like that to her, like to the administrator? He's like, who? Say it to who? Who's Rose? I was like, if you run this project and they gave her whatever financial information from the project that they knew, that they had, and then I asked the person that runs the project, and they're like, who is this person they gave the financial information to? I was like, so going back to like, so this is Rose, and she lives in California, and she knows a lot of people that work with nonprofits. That's the thing. Like, I know that there are like some issues with like the way we do things, but we don't receive enough money for it actually to like hit any tax brackets. And if you went down the list of donors, like all of them like either probably know me personally or know somebody. So like we have the nonprofit, but we don't like, until we had this donation that's here, like this is like the thing that I mainly have to be accountable for. And I've been trying to do all this, but like in the time that I've created a nonprofit here, they have literally broken down and dismantled any kind of legality that Tererê or Tererê Kids Project had in Brazil. Tererê shut it all down. So like I've had to force them to open it all back up, and like I've had to force them to be like, look, you need to open up, you can, like, because they always want to start a nonprofit and it's very hard in Brazil. So I was like, you just need to open up a business. I need a business that says Tererê Kids Project. So instead of me sending money Western Union, or me sending money like to PayPal to the parent that told this to Rose, because he's the one that does transfer a lot of money because he's smart. Before, you couldn't have a PayPal in Brazil. It wouldn't connect. That's why the Tererê Kids Project PayPal runs through America, because you couldn't have one in Brazil back in the day. But now you can, and he made one, and now he's transferring all the money there instead of having made one for the social project, because Fabricio now has a bank account in his name that says Tererê Kids Project, and that's where I should be sending money, and I'm not. And that's an issue. Like, I should at least be sending it from Tererê Kids Project to Tererê Kids Project, and that's the only place I should be sending money. Really, that would make it easy for my accounting. And that's something that we should all understand as an organization that we're doing. But what he did was he told her, I don't know where the money's going. She has it over there, and we have to ask for everything. I don't have money to buy gis. And then Rose tells me this. That's literally, I talked to Rose on Monday. She literally told me, like, I'm holding money hostage, and that they don't have money for locks for the academy, locks to protect the computers that I paid for out of pocket to put in there, and that she had to pay for the locks. And like, I understand everything that happened that got to the point where she said that, but there could not have been any worse statement. I feel like other than saying that I molested a child, you couldn't have said anything worse. Anything worse. Like to a Gracie, you couldn't have said it to anyone worse. And like, I have kind of flipped out and stressed about this, and I don't think it will be as bad as it is. Like, there's a chance that she could really step in and help us and help me with some stuff like on the US side that nobody in Brazil has been able to help me with. And also understand the fact that I can't comprehend how, after all the work I've done, that the only person that actually has any kind of grasp of like what we're doing here was sitting there like, but you're the administrator of the project, not Bahinu. He literally told me he can't. He doesn't know how. I was like, just because you think he can't and he doesn't know how doesn't mean he is the person. It is so annoying every time when you guys come to me when you should go to him first. And then to find out now that you're telling me after you've told this to somebody else that like he can't, he doesn't know how, as if he's incompetent, and he's not. I was like, that's disrespectful to him, and like it's disrespectful to my time. And like I realized I haven't trained, like maybe I didn't make the proper statements and be like, everybody needs to know this, this, and this. But then he told me, it's like, I didn't know. And I was like, but that's not what you told Rose. You didn't told Rose that you didn't know. You made a statement that nobody in this organization knows, and that's what she came back to me to say. Like, and I don't think he understands the gravity of what he said. So like that's kind of been flipping me out. And like I was like, so you guys are doing all this with Rose. Not one of them has taken a second to think of how I'm going to get 240 pounds to them. Like, or the fact that like, this is it. Like if I don't do this 240 pounds, if this 240 pounds doesn't get to Brazil correctly, then yes, I have defaulted on the biggest loan ever because it's not complete, So like that has been stressful for me, and that has been very stressful for me since before March when they told me they were going to do it. And like I knew I was going to get the donation that was going to be so big, and I had no idea how big it was going to be until it actually got here. And like so I was just like, just trying to work this out, and then they just went and brought that in. So I'm hoping that after it all blows down, I'll have a little bit more help, a little bit more support in this. But other than that, it's just kind of been driving me crazy.
Wow. I guess I didn't have it as bad as you this week. So, damn.